Okay, hi, I'm here at EGX 2018 with Sandra from Levity Play. They're currently developing Skyfront VR, and we just want to ask them a few details about the game, the development process, etc., where they're planning to go and how they found working with VR and on PC. Is that okay, Sandra?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's great.
I don't know, suppose you have to. Was this developed in Unity? That's correct. For
yes.
Oculus and for the Vive, is that correct?
And Windows Mixed Reality as
well.
and
WMR, excellent.
Yeah.
But no PlayStation yet.
No PlayStation yet. No.
Okay. And I'm assuming then, so with Vive and Oculus, that's all PC, so everyone can play against each other in the multiplayer arena. Is that correct?
Exactly. That is correct.
Excellent. And I think it's 4v4, is that the correct team size? I was just reading up a little bit on the way here. Or is it deathmatch?
Yes. Well, okay. There's a deathmatch, and now we also added a domination mode, which is also team-based. There's up to 10 people in a match, so you can the teams don't have to be equal teams, so however you want to do it.
Okay, asynchronous. And you've got bots as well, I think, for when there's not too many players.
Bots, yeah, when you do happen to get in the game when there's no one online, so yeah, you can play against bots.
And is it right, you're in early access at the moment on Steam, yeah?
Yes, we got into early access November 2017, and we're currently working towards our full launch.
And when do you think that'll be? Do you have any idea yet, or is it just a wait and see?
We hope to launch before the end of this year.
Okay.
But since indies
have
a bit of a disadvantage, so we're still kind of deciding on when the right time will be for launch.
Okay, that sounds great. And one of the other, so we don't have crossplay, so I've written down a few questions here. Yeah. How have you found working with Valve and Facebook, etc.? Has that been? Do you guys have a direct contact? Or
we have good contact with Facebook. With Valve, we have a contact.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we're working on making the contacts closer and more intimate and beneficial for both parties.
So generally speaking, I think Facebook have been really great with giving you all the resources you need, etc.
Facebook has been, because but we have a long-term relationship with Facebook from earlier, because the studio that's currently then developing, we are developing Skyfront. We've also developed Facebook games in the past.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we actually made a huge shift from developing for Facebook to now developing for VR. So in that sense, that's already a long-standing and really good relationship for us.
And so have you abandoned the mobile games and gone?
No,
you're still doing both as well.
Yes, we have our eggs spread out between different baskets.
Fantastic. So I was going to ask that because when I was looking into Levity Play, it looked to me like this was your first game, and so I was a bit confused by where you come from with all this expertise. There seems to be a lot of good people working for you guys. So that's interesting. You come from the mobile game and transitioned over.
Yes.
How much of what the company as a whole has learned from the mobile gaming market has transitioned into VR? Is it completely different, or do you find the sales and marketing is the same, but everything?
No, I think it's been really different actually. So there are some areas that coincide between both of the areas, but it's been a bit of a learning curve. So when we started out, we know that we made quite a bit of mistakes in our early stages of development, but that's how you learn.
Of course,
and VR is still such a new industry anyway, and I think everybody's making the same mistakes, and there's not a lot of experienced people to turn to for advice, and I think we've done really well for ourselves, and we've kind of found a really good crew, a good pipeline for our work, and it seems to be flowing pretty smoothly now.
I was also going to ask you where the inspiration for this game came from. Do you have any particular people in the team who have played certain games that have inspired them to take certain elements and move those into VR? I was thinking maybe I think Tribes is an FPS which has that very fluid movement. Obviously it's not flying, but I wondered whether that or anything else is an inspiration.
Our game lead, basically the core idea for Skyfront came from our game lead, and he's always been a huge fan of FPS games. And one of our other team members pitched the idea of maybe starting to develop a game for VR. So I was not with the company back then, so that was about 2 years ago. But basically during one of the team's brainstorming sessions, they came up with the idea of this zero gravity environment within VR. And I think the inspiration comes from a lot of first-person shooter games. You might see some, I know currently our game lead's a huge fan of Blizzard, so definitely the color scheme comes from these more light-hearted arena games. And it's basically from all over, bits and bobs, from whatever our team's playing and experiencing currently.
Whatever fits what you want to do, I suppose.
Yeah.
Superb.
Yeah.
Do you have any other games sort of coming from the studio? Anything else in the pipeline, or is it sort of all a bit quiet?
Well, at the moment, so we have 2 other VR game ideas that we're working with. We are pitching the ideas to different publishers and investors. But at the moment, so we are fully kind of concentrated on finishing developing Skyfront for PC. We hope that if our launch goes well, everything's awesome and wonderful, we would love to continue working on developing the game for PlayStation as well, hopefully.
Would that, if you could, would that have crossplay? Is that something you'd like to do?
Of course we'd like to, but knowing from other people's experience, that's not as easily done as it is said.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, you can always dream, can't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Another thing I noticed when I was reading some of the information on the company, I think it described the game as, you guys wanted it to be the de facto competitive VR first FPS experience. Yeah. Is that sort of something you're still going towards?
Definitely,
it does seem like it's a multiplayer essentially. It's underrepresented, I think, in the VR space.
Well, yeah. See, everybody knows how VR is a relatively small market, so when you go out with, you can't really lead with, hey, we're a VR multiplayer, because people will be like, no. But we are gaining quite a huge player base, actually, and one of our keys to success and to funding our development so far has been work with arcades, VR arcades. So that's an excellent kind of scenario for a multiplayer game, and since we use a platform, Springboard, to mediate our game to a lot of the arcades, and based on their information, so for the past 6 months or so, Skyfront's been one of the top 10 most played games in VR arcades. So in that sense, that's what kind of provides the push for a VR multiplayer from our perspective. But yeah, we're already have a pretty good player base in the US and Canada, and in Europe, so we are working on getting that core player base as well. And what we're doing still to move towards this esports and kind of competitive aspect, before launch, we are going to add customization and progression to our game. So yeah, that kind of gives the player, incentive to come back, beat their own scores, beat their opponent's scores, and get cool stuff in return that they can use to make the game really their own. So yes, that's our kind of our main aspect at the moment that we're working on, and see how it goes.
Well, superb. Would you like to maybe give 30 seconds to the camera just to tell all of our members, our viewers, what's so great about your game? I'll be playing it later. Unfortunately, I haven't played yet, but if you'd like to tell us all about the experience.
So basically, if you've ever dreamt of flying around in zero gravity and just shooting away at your opponents, this is what we allow you to do. You get to live out all your childhood dreams, and there's no falling, so that's pretty awesome. So yeah, come fly in our awesome game.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm KGK Lord Bob from the KGK Custom Gaming Community website, etc. I'm here with Gabe from Deep Fried Games. Hi, Gabe. At EGX 2018. They've developed this wonderful game, Dr. Dad's Home for Disposable Clones. I'm here to Gabe to just ask him a little bit about that. So how have you found it here at EGX, Gabe? Have you had a good reception, etc.?
Yeah, definitely. It's amazing. There's we're here at the Transducer booth, so there's a lot of indie games, and in general, it's an amazing experience. It's massive. We're so excited.
And do you get a chance to mix with the other development teams as well, and sort of exchange ideas and inspiration and creative ideas?
Not necessarily share ideas, but we've been playing around with other people's games. They've been playing ours. And all in all, it's a great experience.
Fantastic. And how's the general reception been for the game today?
Well, so far so good.
Over the weekend, yeah?
Yeah, so far so good. We always have a consistent queue. I mean, we think we have a fun game, So it's been great. Nobody's actually been feeling queasy or anything.
That was a question I was going to ask you, the motion sickness angle. So have you found that that's basically, is it the users have become used to it, or is it that your game just deals with the motion very well in such a way that people don't get motion sick?
So it's the second one actually, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
So this was also my dissertation project for my graduation last year. It's about simulator sickness in VR. with motion systems.
Excellent.
This uses a predictable motion system that directly correlates to how you move and how you pull.
I see.
So you don't actually push any buttons to move around. It's not out of your control. Everything you do, you intend to do. And that mixed with a few little tricks that we can't really share too much helps a lot with the motion sickness. So far nobody complained, and we've been at various expos for a couple of years. So far it's a long time.
That's extraordinary. That's a really good achievement if that's what you've managed to achieve. That's fantastic. Excellent. And in terms of the development process, and I'm a sort of a small time developer myself, just little things. How have you found it with a small team? Is it something which is very easy for you to? Oh, we've got Spider-Man cutting in here.
Hello.
Hello, Spidey.
Somebody wanted a picture of me.
Yes, it's that guy.
Sorry, Peter Parker.
Doug.
So interrupted by Peter Parker. So sorry, what were we saying there about?
Yeah, the team size, right? Well, it's good. It's good that we have a small team because it's easy to manage. We're all on the same page. But at the same time, it could be easier if we had more people to develop the game further. But then again, that's why we're here, to spread the word, maybe get some investors interested, and get the game going.
I saw one of your videos. I think it was a devlog, and I could see that there was quite a good chemistry between the team in the office. You're all sort of taking the mickey a little bit, inspiring each other, but getting the work done, etc. Yeah, it looked really good.
But yeah, I think it's one of the best things about game development. If you get it right, and when I say if you get it right, I mean if you find the right people, is that there's never a dull day. There's a lot of crunch, a lot of stress, so it's important that you're with people that understand you and you understand.
And how have you found developing in VR? Is it a Unity game? I think that's right. Have you found developing in VR the differences, if there are any, I don't know, between, for example, the Oculus Rift and the Vive? Is it just sort of fall nicely out of Unity, or is there a lot of messing around to get the two items to work properly together?
Actually, no. It's very straightforward. I'm not a massive fan of Unreal. That's why I went into Unity.
Okay.
But that's just a personal preference.
Oh, yeah,
developing for VR is actually quite simple. We're using a package called VRTK, the Virtual Reality Toolkit, that helps a lot with seamless transition between various SDKs, which means that we're developing for the Vive at the moment. That allows us to have 360 tracking, but you can quickly switch to the Oculus. We added a secondary button to rotate you around, so you can just sit still and play the game.
So Unity does it, well, I wouldn't say does it for you, but it gives you all the tools you need to do it.
It's a game engine, yeah.
That's brilliant. And will you be thinking perhaps of expanding into PlayStation VR or any other platforms?
We really hope so. We're trying to talk with Sony about this. We already are in talks with another small VR title that we made a while back, so hopefully that's our foot in the door and we're going to get this on PSVR.
Fantastic.
Which would be amazing, yeah.
And the premise for the game, am I right in thinking it's a sort of a super evil villain, if that's a super villain essentially has created you as a clone, and you've got to do his bidding.
Dr. Dad. So Dr. Dad is this super villain, as you say, that is rich but also very narcissistic, and he's got a problem with other super villains in which they shun him because he's so daddish. Because nobody really
it's embarrassing.
It. Yeah. So out of spite and revenge, he decides to train these clones that you play as to break into the super villain's layers and steal their most valued possessions.
Wow. Okay.
It's maybe like a carpet on a wall, Doesn't really matter what it is, but it's there.
Oh, it sounds like great. It's a really great narrative device thing. It gives you the opportunity to have, how Portal has all the little test chambers. I suppose you can do a similar thing, but it's not just you're dumped in a different room each time. You're actually being, forced there is a reason.
And actually, we haven't said what the game is about. Right, the game is about moving in this environment in a Portal-style puzzle and humor levels, let's say. And you move around swinging like Spider-Man in VR, using your hands to pull and swing and crawl and climb and everything. So that's. I mean, we're really happy with it. It's a dream come true for us because we grew up playing both Portal and Spider-Man 2 on the PS2. Personally, it was on the GameCube, but still. And we wanted to do that, but in VR. So we worked for 2 years doing that. I think we got something really fun.
Well, it seems from the reactions that we're seeing here, it seems absolutely.
It's quite nice, actually.
Yeah, it's not gone down at all.
Not for people in the cube, but for us.
No, yeah, it's fantastic to get that kind of view. Yeah. So would you like to perhaps give our viewers at KGK a little sort of 30-second or a minute sort of quick overview of what the game is and what they can look forward to when it comes out into early access?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, yeah.
So, Dr. Dad's Home for Disposable Clone is a VR heist game set in a Looney Tunes-inspired universe that mixes the pacing, puzzles, and Portal with the unique movement mechanic inspired by games like Spider-Man 2 for PS2. The game is a series of bank heists in the supervillain layers, and in the game you swing around using your grappling guns like Spider-Man, which coincidentally. Man, you're in good shape as well. It's good stuff. And you try and break into this vault, solving this puzzle and going into life-threatening scenarios, swinging around and trying to stay alive, get in the vaults, steal the loot, and get out for Dr. Dad to win his approval. That's pretty much it.
Great. Thank you, guys.